the leadership guy who was the evil one. Oh, Bill.
Bill.
Bill, not a science guy.
Yeah, Gravity was the best show. It's actually so.
Hey!
It like such a crazy.
Today, one of the great albums of the 1970s came out, aptly named Ringo. It's Ringo Starr's best album. I'm full of knowledge and none of you are paying attention. And my Paul McCartney lyrics book is here.
What was it about Paul McCartney?
He wrote a book where he explained 500 of his songs, and I wrote him the closest to do an autobiography today. Really? Very excited.
That'd be interesting.
Who's the guy that just wrote this?
That's how it's done.
Oh crap.
And I'll take your call. Give me.
Bro, that's it.
Isn't that just so annoying?
Is your printer working today?
It's not connected. Why didn't you print it before? You had all day yesterday.
Because of this. This is why I've been working on all day. 30.
When did you know about that?
I've been working on this for 3 weeks. It's the biggest thing I've ever had to do.
How long?
4 to 5 days. Tonight.
You're gonna have a rude awakening.
Oh no, okay, but 4 to 5 pages, but we've had to turn in like 4 rough drafts.
Oh, yeah, I hate rough drafts. Don't get me wrong, nothing. It's not working. I'm sorry. I can't do it. For some reason, it's not connecting online.
Okay.
So we did 2 presentations, and then we. That's it. Oh, no, let me finish up the conspiracy.
Oh, did you hear the new Garfield news?
Oh yeah, there's a new Garfield, and it's gonna be voiced. Who's like an actor.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he's
I have no idea. I actually, that came up and somebody sent me that Garfield's to be voiced by Chris Pratt, and I have no idea who Chris Pratt is. Well, naturally. Star Lord?
Yeah, Alex. I just like Chris Pratt.
Is that a penis? Yeah, comics. It's like peanuts, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's Beetle Bailey. I don't know anything about the Marvel. You get yours, you're going. Okay, so same deal. It's 2 to 3 questions from everybody's presentation. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask questions like, on the 3rd slide of the 4th presentation. What was the 5th word on the slide? Yeah, doesn't just general stuff like that. Basic knowledge. No, just 2 to 3. It would just be part of the matching. That's all. And so, like I said, we've been starting with every day with the best. Yes. No, let's wait till we're done. Yeah, we might take back the applause. No, we're gonna be. Come on up. Oh, what happened here?
You want to hit Windows plus K on your keyboard to connect.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Room 21.
The project.
Projection.
Room 21 project.
Room 21.
Like the Huntley project.
Why isn't this working? The Huntley project. Irrigation extreme.
It's actually pretty good.
I'll give you a like. Who are you?
Mrs. Bosch, we were talking about something very important. I got a little surprised.
Here we go. All right. So, does everyone pay attention? But if you also have the mouse gone. There we go. As long as the mouse is on there and just hit the left button, it's fine. You have your cards?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
No,
Give me
I-
one sec. You can see
I couldn't get it into the PowerPoint. Sorry.
Can you sing it?
Can I sing it? No.
As long, yeah. Going back's a little bit more difficult. Uh-oh, crushing the Don't make that sound.
That's the X-Files.
Illuminati stole
Let us begin. Go.
All right. So my conspiracy was the Illuminati and the New World Order. Okay. So the Illuminati is a secret society that a group of like celebrities, politicians, billionaires. They are rumored to run the world. They communicate through secret signals. And while this sounds really crazy, I think it's important to note that that people actually believe this. We live in a world that is full of conspiracy theories and even more conspiracy believers. This is one of the most widely described conspiracy theories, and I think a big reason why people are so drawn to this one is because they feel powerless, and the idea of like I know more than you gives people a feeling of power and like self-fulfillment. All right. So.
I just noticed the picture of everybody doing that with their hand.
Yeah. So the Illuminati, it was at one point a real thing. This was a Bavarian secret society. It was founded by a guy named Adam Weishart. He was a professor, and it was founded in 1776 during the Enlightenment era. Basically, the goal of this society was a group of intellectuals who'd privately group together and oppose religious and
Oh, somebody sent you a pass to shut you up? That would have been really funny going for you. You must leave now.
Okay, so the society, their goal was to oppose religious and elitist influence over daily life. Eventually, it got outlawed by conservative and Christian critics, and it kind of faded out of existence up until roughly the 1960s. That's when we get to the modern day Illuminati. So it's actually a lot different than the secret society of the 1700s. Until the 60s, no one really mentioned the Illuminati, and then it started resurfacing because of things like counterculture, mania, and LSD. In the 1960s, there was this text called Principia Discordia, which is right up there, where everything is explained, absolutely everything worth knowing about. This text was a parody, and the goal of the text was kind of just to cause chaos. It was about how activities could bring social change and force individuals to question reality. So one of the authors of Principia Discordia also wrote for Playboy magazine, and he kind of, I don't know how to describe him besides he was kind of a menace to society. Like, for being honest, he would send in anonymous fake readers' letters that would tell stories about the Illuminati, and then he would send in counteracting or like contradicting letters. And so when there's so many contradicting letters in a very popular magazine at the time, people start reading it, people start questioning things, and that's how the myth of modern day Illuminati kind of started, through Playboy magazine. Okay, so for the evidence, there are some pretty powerful, or at least at one point powerful people who do believe in the Illuminati. One of them being Paul Hellyer. He was a Canadian Minister of Defense, and he blamed the Illuminati for suppressing technology brought by aliens. I think there's not like concrete evidence of the Illuminati. People say that like people going like this or going like this. It's not really concrete. I think one of the reasons a lot of people believe in the Illuminati is because of patterns, as like you were saying earlier in the lecture. Patterns have been what saved humanity from the get-go. If our ancestors hadn't noticed that crops that weren't watered died, then the human race would have been cut off a long time ago. And I think that a lot of people don't have very much trust in the government. They start getting scared. So people started looking for patterns in the government, or maybe as a way to kind of be ahead of the government. And that's when people started turning to the Illuminati. They started seeing these patterns, and they thought, like, out of fear and out of agency, that, oh, this must be real, and this is the cause for all these crazy things happening. And so now, everyone's familiar with celebrity involvement. So Beyonce and Jay-Z are probably the most famously linked to the Illuminati. It is said that they brainwash through their dance routines and music. And they're both famously known for going like this while performing. Now, according to them, it's a diamond. But I mean, that's what they're all going to tell you. Beyonce has once said that she becomes like a different person on stage. She said, like, if you were to stab her in the leg, she wouldn't feel it because it's like an out-of-body experience. And now some people would say that's adrenaline. But other people would say that that's the devil inside of her coming out and performing on stage. So it's up to you what you believe. It is said that she has an Illuminati alter ego named Sasha Fierce. Yeah. So another celebrity who's been widely suspected of being in the Illuminati is Madonna, because of her song called Illuminate on her Rebel Heart album. Other notable celebrities would be Donald Trump, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, Lindsay Lohan, LeBron James, and I think something that is important to point out is that maybe they're not denying it because it gives them publicity. Like, being suspected of the Illuminati, if you search Beyonce, one of the first things you're going to see is Beyonce Illuminati connection. She's not denying these rumors because they give her publicity. And so, joining the Illuminati. If you go to illuminatiofficial.org, you too can join the Illuminati. I was looking at this website. I'll get into it a little bit later. It looks like it's just an email subscription service. It looks like you just enter your email and your first name, and they send you updates. I think it's basically a newsletter subscription to the Illuminati. Don't actually join it. So, the appeal of the Illuminati, it pulls you in. Reading the illuminatiofficial.org, here are some of the headlines that they have. Going back to what I said earlier about people feeling powerless, this website creates the opposite effect. As it says, the age of war is coming to an end. The age of illumination appears. Your life's journey has led you to this moment. You are as important to your species' survival as the greatest kings and queens. And like you said, you can read some of these. They talk about the purpose. When your life's journey has led you to this moment, but by nature, human is affected by instinct, emotion, and imbalance. They're saying a lot while saying at the same time absolutely nothing. Okay, so who believes in the Illuminati? According to the internet, 23% of people believe in the Illuminati or some type of New World Order, which at first sounds like a lot of people, but I mean, the idea of a New World Order isn't that crazy out there. I mean, like, I don't believe in it, but I can almost see the rationale of believing in something like that because there is so much that is hidden to the general public from the government. Believers in the Illuminati are also often linked to conservative beliefs. Not making a statement or anything, but conservatives they aren't happy about the amount of government involvement, which kind of leads crazy alt-right beliefs and leads you to the Illuminati. It's also been widely publicized. There's been a lot of documentaries, one of the most famous ones being A Conspiracy to Rule the Illuminati. So, Disproving, yeah. It's not so much that there's evidence against it, it's more there's just such a lack of evidence for the Illuminati. And I think that it's really important to remember it started as a prank in Playboy magazine. Like, this whole idea was a prank. So the impact, like I said, 23% of Americans supposedly believe in the Illuminati or some type of New World Order. The impact of the Illuminati has caused people to start questioning everything, thinking that politicians, celebrities, billionaires, millionaires are all against them. It led to people blaming 9/11 on the Illuminati and specifically but President at the time, President Bush. And like, it's kind of crazy just hearing people actually think that, like, a secret society is on top of one of the deadliest attacks on American soil. I mean, whatever. So it's also created a lot of sub-theories, one of them being the Denver airport theory. So the theory is that the Denver airport has secret tunnels all around that are Illuminati bunkers. And the CEO of the airport, Kim Day, actually does not necessarily deny the theory. She embraces them and says that they have a lot of fun with them, which kind of fuels the fire. One hint conspiracy theorists use that the airport was created by the Illuminati is that it was extremely expensive to build and weirdly expensive. And they think that's because the New World Order built it. It also doesn't help that the company that built the airport was called the New World Airport Commission. So that certainly doesn't help. It said that there is a time capsule buried on the property with symbols from the Freemasons, which were linked to the Illuminati back in the 1700s. They were, now not so much. Okay, so my opinions on the Illuminati. I personally do not. I personally don't believe in the Illuminati. I think that the idea that there could be a secret higher power is a little bit less far-fetched than it seems. I think that until like the rise of social media especially, there was a lot of things that the general public, and there still is a lot of things that the general public does not know about the government, and there's a lot of hidden stuff from the general public. So the idea of there being this secret society it's not too crazy, and if you're scared, I can kind of see the rationale almost in believing in these type of theories. I think ultimately conspiracies like this, I mentioned this earlier, they distract from real issues such as climate change, race inequality, and economic inequality. I think that a lot of the times the believers of these theories are really just trying to take people's attention away from real issues and onto fake issues like the Illuminati. Yeah, so I'm not a part of it. I'm not saying that he isn't a part of it, though. I don't really know.
So let's be clear about it. We have 3 Tylers.
Oh my God.
Also, if you put Tyler and Jost together, that creates a 9-letter word, and 9 divided by 3 is 3.
Oh my God.
Tyler,
Here, I'll run this down. So, do you have any pictures of the Denver airport?
No, I don't.
Did you
So
see
remind me, I'll give you some pictures. I'll show some pictures of the Denver airport. It's wild.
Yeah.
You're up, it's way out there, so
There's-
you can see why.
And there's like a statue in the airport too that I can't remember what the statue of.
Horse.
Yeah, the horse.
Yeah,
That is.
crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Mhm. Yeah. I have been to the Denver airport and I did not see any suspicious activity, but I'm not saying it's not there.
One thing though, you brought up a good point. You said 9/11 could be Western. Wasn't it a secret group that did attack in 9/11?
It's a weird one.
And let me ask you this: if I said something to the effect of, you know, there's probably a least of all the millionaires and billionaires that are controlling policy. Could you find evidence of that?
Very much so.
So there's bits of truth in everything. You know. Do we have other questions? Yeah.
So is it true that if you type Illuminati backwards in Google, that it brings up the Department of Defense?
Why don't you test that theory out?
Yeah. And do it in another room too. And I was already saying, if you type in Illuminati backward, it comes up with. And this is actually, we have Agenda 21 over here. We got other groups like that, but amazing, you know, they're all intertwined. Any other questions? All right, good job. So now we're next, let me get it all set up.
You are an Illuminati, that means you know.
I wasn't going to give it to you.
Just give me 1 sec.
Yeah. And,
I mean, it is my club.
Yeah,
actually,
one
no,
person's
no,
gonna
no,
be
no,
my
no,
section.
no, no,
Beyonce's
no,
I want to hear it.
Name one person that might be Beyonce.
Give me a sec, I just gotta.
You're good.
And now you can join the Illuminati yourself.
I mean, one of us already has.
Well, yeah, but he was initiated.
Make him a good man.
Can I go fill this up real quick?
You're hurry. Quick, like the wind.
It's really convenient.
I want you to know. There you are. Sorry, just gotta hit like something.
It's really good on their blog. They have like, you buy like 1 gallon of this.
No more
What about the Virgin's one thing? It just means that.
All right, here we go.
You did a shit, and you actually have to take one.
Let's go. Try to get out.
All right. So the theory that I chose was subliminal messaging. Subliminal messaging is hidden messages created to promote a product or an idea. So in the 1950s, it was created in the 1950s, and there was a huge breakout of it, and people started capitalizing on this idea because it was making them a lot of money. Oops, sorry. No, I gotta go back. How do I go back?
It's hard to go back when it's online. Here?
One more. Okay. Sorry, guys. It's banned in the UK, but there's not enough research or information that I could find to where it's banned anywhere else. So I don't know if it's banned in the US or not. Okay. So in 1957, a man named James Vickery he was the one who created subliminal messaging. He conducted an experiment. He gathered a movie theater full of people, and I'm not sure what movie he played, but he played a movie and he was flashing drink Coca-Cola and eat popcorn on the screen long enough for the subconscious mind to pick up, but not long enough where like it was registered in the conscious mind. After this experiment was done, he said that popcorn sales went up by 18.1% and Coke sales went up by 57.7%. Then in 1962, he came out to the press saying that he regretted doing this because he did not have enough research on the subject.
You want.
Pretty much. So here's a few examples of the messaging on packages. As you can see, can you find the one on the Skittles?
Yeah, I can't find one of these skills.
Really?
Oh.
Because they see the word in here.
Did everyone find it?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So, one thing to go back to, Mr. Partridge touching on patterns, I feel like a lot of these things are people looking for patterns because humans need a core belief, and I think a lot of conspiracy theories are based off of trying to find something to believe in. This one is pretty interesting because it was very spread out. So, because I think this is the opposite side of the can, but there you go.
You have to have a very good analogy.
Yeah. So this one, I feel like this one is very far-fetched because it's Disney and they're marketing to kids and not adults. Versus Facebook, I believe that one. But I'm not sure about Disney. So I thought that one was pretty interesting.
That was funny. I will too.
All right, so music. I went to summer camp this last summer, and I listened to music every night before I went to bed. And the next day, I would have a song or two stuck in my head, but I didn't remember listening to them the night before. So I think like something with it sinking into like the subconscious mind and things like that. If that makes sense. So then this one. So this is SFX magazine, Special Effects magazine. but if you look them up, every single magazine that they have, the person on the front is standing just properly, so that you can like read it that way.
Seems to be a trend in what we find.
I know. And then the insurance ad could be subconsciously scaring people into buying their insurance. Yeah. Yes, so they're like little matches with buildings on top.
Burn your house down.
You got it.
I found a lot of alcohol ads that were geared towards men, and then these are like the two that I could find that were geared towards women. So I thought that was pretty funny. All right, and then lifestyle that comes with buying a product. There was a lot of pictures of finding people being happy and maybe like, okay, so being happy or being rich or things like that that might come with buying a coat, which isn't necessarily true. So, any questions?
So did it work if you like do flashables a bit? Let's say if you're watching something like a movie and flashing a screen like 3 Coca-Cola, does that work?
From what I found, I don't think a lot of those actually worked. I do know that you had to like be very careful with how long you flashed it for, because if it was anything past, I think, because like a second is a really long time, and then you can pick that up. But
That's at 1:30.
yeah,
So we couldn't even know if they were still.
yeah.
You were doing that. You were.
That's true. I really want some Coca-Cola.
On Instagram.
You've seen Amazon, and it says Amazon. You've seen Amazon, it says Amazon, and it goes a little arrow, A.
To A to Z, yeah.
That's a little subliminal advertising.
Or I think it's FedEx. One of them has an arrow hidden in the logo.
Yep. There's a lot of those. Little things, something enough that makes you buy something just to catch your eye. Clearly, they do certain things that will get certain people's eye. But moving on. Any questions? All right, good.
Yeah. Actually, I got my dirty switch. Yours might be a little tight.
Yeah, syphilis. Good job. All right, here we go. So you're going tomorrow, right? Yeah. You may begin.
Alrighty, so I'm doing a Tuskegee syphilis study, and just to begin, this actually happened. This is not a conspiracy.
Well, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Ooh.
Okay, so it took place in Macon County, which is in the southeast part of Alabama, in the town of Tuskegee at the university. So there were 600 men involved in this study, 399 of which had syphilis, 201 of which did not. The majority of these men were poor sharecroppers, so they were offered benefits, which were burial insurance, and then free meals, and then free medical checkups. And again, a lot of these men are poor; they've never been to a doctor, and anyone would take a free meal when you can take it. All these men were being treated for bad blood, and that's what they were told. That's why they had syphilis, but they weren't told they had syphilis. So penicillin, the compound, was discovered in 1928, but it wasn't really an accepted treatment until 1947, which is 15 years into the study. So these men they're already 15 years in the study at this point, and syphilis at the beginning is just sores and rashes. It can cause a sore throat, just pretty minor symptoms. But as it progresses and gets into the later stages, 10 to 30 years after the first exposure, it can affect the nervous system. You can go blind, and you can have, rarely, you can have organ failure even. And these men weren't being treated for it. These men, they were not given any antidote of penicillin to help pain or discomfort. So Peter Buxton was an investigator for the Public Health Service who was doing the research. And Peter Buxton was just said, hey, I don't really think this is too ethical. So they called a committee and found that it was ethical and continued going. Peter Buxton was not too happy with that, so he leaked the information to John C. Calhoun. No, he leaked it to Gene Heller, who published the article, who published an article with information in it, July of 1972. Once this information got out, some of the patients got an attorney and filed lawsuits. Their attorney was Fred Gray. Fred got them $10 million for settlements outside of court. Clinton apologized for the Public Health Service May 16th, 1992. Or, I think it's, here, 1 second. 1997. There we go. May 16, 1997. 8 men attended that hearing, and they were all over the age of 85. So, over the 40 years of doing it, 1932 to 1972, 28 men died directly from syphilis. 100 died due to complications. 40 spouses developed it, and 19 children were born with it. The Public Health Service turned into the CDC. So when the CDC was mandating vaccines or recommending vaccines or masks, a portion of the African American community didn't trust it, because you did this earlier, why not do it now? So this just led to a very big mistrust of the government by a portion of the African American community.
What was the purpose of the study? What do we know?
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, they're trying to see if not only find a cure of it, but also see what syphilis would do.
Yeah.
So they're like, that syphilis or allowed them to get syphilis and they would pass the CD vaccine.
Oh, so they wouldn't treat it because they wouldn't.
Right, because they wanted to.
All right, good job. Well, that's the thing. Once you have this conspiracy, which is real, that makes you believe, oh, well, maybe they're trying to do it again with vaccines. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So can you get syphilis so that we can see this would be hard to follow?
No, I actually.
Yes.
Give me 1 sec. Running on lead.
Is that Roswell?
My
No.
dad's been in Roswell.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so here's something that's a bit more lighthearted and quite different from all the other stuff today, and that's the Roswell Incident.
Alien invasion. Just a.
Right, there you go. Yay, maybe.
As long as the mouse is on the screen, look. It'll go.
Yay, okay, sorry. So 1947, very start of Cold War, a rancher found a very strange wreckage on his land while he was driving around with his son after a very large storm. They couldn't identify exactly what it was, so they brought it to the town sheriff, George Wilcox, who is the man in the photo on the front. And that was the wreckage. So there's a nearby airfield in Roswell, like an Air Force field, and so they contact George Wilcox, the sheriff doesn't know what it is, so he contacts the airfield. And then an intelligence officer Major Jesse Marcel comes to investigate, and they proclaimed in the news, like a government employee, that this was a flying saucer found in New Mexico. So that there's everybody, there's the rancher, the sheriff, and that's Major Jesse Marcel, whose proclamation sort of brought this into a big media frenzy. So yes, like I said, there was a huge media frenzy about the idea of aliens, alien invasion, etc. And Roswell is often called the mother of all UFO sightings because after this, they started popping up things like the Flatwoods Monster and other such eyewitness sightings with very iffy or little proof. Yeah, so in that era, a bunch of alien invasion. So yes, did the government confirm a flying saucer? They did not. A few weeks later, they came out and said, no, we never meant to say it was a flying saucer. It's a weather balloon. It does not look anything like a weather balloon at the time. Mac Brazel, the rancher who found this supposed weather balloon, says in an interview that is not a weather balloon. He's fairly sure of it. So what is this? If not a flying saucer and not a weather balloon, forget to Project Mogul. Project Mogul was a surveillance project brought in to spy on the Soviets. Sorry, I don't have a picture of this for this slide, but it was a U.S. spy balloon that was meant to be able to go very high in the atmosphere and detect the sounds of they wouldn't record any footage, of course, but it would record and detect Soviet nuclear testing. So it was very early Cold War, and this was kept very, very secret from the people, hence why it was almost better to tell them that there was an alien visiting the Earth than it was to tell them about this surveillance project. So what was the conspiracy? The conspiracy was the cover-up of this surveillance project. There is very little evidence of aliens. It was lying and misleading their people because of the Cold War tensions. Alternative theory, aliens were real, and this is a layered cover-up, which is definitely the truth. Here's the alien bit. So there were supposed sightings of aliens in Roswell at the time, but these are just eyewitness sightings and could have just been jumping onto this media frenzy because if you live in Roswell and there's aliens in Roswell, why not tell your friends that you saw that said aliens in Roswell? And then we have the Ray Santinelli and who claimed to, in 1992, have found and watched a film of an alien autopsy that was from Roswell, and then he released a stage reconstruction of it in 1995, and that's what this picture is from, this staged reconstruction of a very, very real alien autopsy, although he was never able to provide the actual original footage. So there's a parody movie off of this, and it's basically been debunked entirely as a hoax. Yeah, wrong one. And then we have the CIA declassified UFO documents, which were recently declassified, and people were expecting to see something about Roswell because it is one of the most famous UFO incidents in our history, and it was not mentioned because there were no aliens at Roswell, there was no information about any sort of unexplainable events around that time, or actual proof of extraterrestrials. So, in conclusion, Roswell was a conspiracy because the government chose to hide the fact that this was a surveillance balloon used to listen on the Soviets to see if they were testing any nuclear bombs, and it was not a weather balloon, nor was it a spacecraft. So, in conclusion, in my opinion, I just basically agree with that. No aliens.
So
We're so excited.
You're part of the conspiracy. Okay, good. Any questions? And they also found these high-level buildings. I'll show you one thing. 49, when the Soviets exploded their bomb, it was one of those balloons that picked up the radiation at 100,000 feet up. That's how they knew the Soviets exploded the bomb inside of Siberia.
Yeah.
Any questions? Yeah, Roswell says, anyone been there? Some people said they.
My dad went there for work one time. He came back with like this. I still have it. It's like a giant alien. It's like an alien, but it's like a cup. It's like a water bottle.
So the aliens invented water bottles. Okay, that's good. The other question, yeah, this is one of the more famous ones, and it leads in. Someone did Area 51 in here, didn't they?
I did.
Yeah, so we got Area 51 and all that. Yeah, it all ties together. Oh, almost forgot. So Jesse Marcel,
Mhm.
his son lived in Helen. He was a doctor. This is his house. But he taught to my class about 50 years ago. And he was at home. And his dad brought home this weird kind of metallic, it was actually outside of the balloon, but they'd never seen anything like this before. Kind of like tinfoil, where they would crinkle up and it would spread back out, which of course kind of makes sense, it's a balloon. And the tape had these weird symbols on it so they could see what the tape was. And they thought it was alien stuff. He believed it 100%. He's a really nice man, but he's a little kid and it's still like haunts him.
Did you ever explain to him like the balloon?
Oh, I know all the stuff. I know all about the balloon in Africa.
Really?
My dad taught me. Yeah. So, all right, good job. There's one more. Who'd like to go? Who else got it? Who else was supposed to go today?
That was me.
What? Got all right, so. I see them. Here we go. Another real one. Maybe not. You want that, Tyler? All right. Begin.
Okay, so my presentation is about the Lincoln assassination and the conspiracy theories that followed it afterwards. Now, the original conspiracy was that Lincoln was assassinated by Booth and his associates. And this happened on April 15th, 1865 at the Ford's Cathedral. What? Theater. I don't know why I kept on saying
I know.
With this, multiple witnesses saw Booth, saw Lincoln, saw everything that happened and what conspired afterwards. Now, what happened afterwards? Booth, for some reason, jumped on stage and broke his leg, just for no reason. Jumped off Lincoln's box on the stage, broke his leg, rambled and yelled, then ran through the back door to the alleyway that was behind it and grabbed a horse that his associates have left for him. With this, his associates also helped him leave the area of the crime scene and eventually makes his way towards Virginia in a farmhouse where he gets arrested by the search party, we can say. Now with this, here are his conspirators. We have David Harold, which is the one that helped him escape to Virginia and multiple places like that. Then you have Lewis Howell, the famous one. He's the one, okay, so you have David is here, Lewis is right here, goes down. Lewis was assigned to kill Secretary of State William Stewart. He failed. George Altoids, Alzendroid, however you pronounce that, I'm sorry. Azarod tried to kill Andrew Jackson, but failed because he chickened out pretty much. He was like at the front door and then just like no and walked away. And then Mary Surratt this was another thing they were planning to do with Lincoln, but this was never accomplished. They were planning to kidnap Lincoln, but they didn't. But she was the owner of the area that they were planning to hold Lincoln at, which is kind of interesting. So what are the two conspiracy theories? There's one major one that inquires the second state of the Confederates and his religion, and a not so popular one by a German chemist. So the first conspiracy includes the Confederates. So with this, Judah Benjamin was thought of to be the mastermind / intermediate person, like the person that was in between Booth and the higher ranking masterminds of the actual thing. Because of this, the reason was because of his religion of him being Jewish. which is kind of ironic as well as very, very, very mean, you can say. But this also led to him having another type of dartboard thing, of him having connections to the Jewish banks of Rothschilds in Europe. Ironically, another dartboard thing, most of the Rothschilds banks were owned by Jewish people. And this led to most people believing that the Pope was the mastermind of Lincoln's assassination, as well as high-ranking cardinals, because of their connection to the Jewish Rothschilds banks, which makes no sense. I don't know why, but this is just what they believed.
Is it the borrowing of money?
I guess, but I tried to find more evidence behind it. No evidence at all.
We don't need evidence about it.
This was mostly believed because most people couldn't believe that Booth, by himself and his 4 other associates, was able to kill Lincoln and kinda escape. But this is what they resorted to. Now, the Pope back then was Pope Pius VI, I believe, right? With Pius transferring to like peace, I believe is what it was. Yeah, peace and like connecting and religion and stuff like that. Devotion. Thank you. Now, the second conspiracy was created by this man, Otto E. I just call him Otto E. because I have a hard time pronouncing his last name. Now, he is a German chemist. He immigrated from Germany to America soon after Lincoln's assassination. Get this, he spent a decade researching the assassination for just no reason, just wanted to. Now, this is the first one he came up with. He believed that Edwin Stanton was the mastermind behind Lincoln's assassination because of their different political views on the Southern Reconstruction. With this, as Edwin's second state of Lincoln, their political views were different. And this also connects to how their ideas on banking work. So this also connects to the Rothschilds banks in Europe for just no apparent reason again.
Stanton is got a name.
Edwin Stanton.
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 S-A-T-A-N.
Stanton.
Stanton.
Now, with this, many believe that he assassinated or masterminded Lincoln's death because he wanted to reconciliate the next president's ideals on what Southern Reconstruction is, because Lincoln supposedly was too soft on it, giving it that the South wasn't punished enough for their treason, which would make sense. The next one he came up with was Ulysses S. Grant as the mastermind, which also doesn't make any sense. But with this, he believes that Grant wanted to assassinate Lincoln just because. With this, he tries to Otto provides evidence that Grant assassinated him because Lincoln didn't, or Grant didn't allow for guards of Lincoln to protect him at the play, supposedly. But also because Grant had to skip town the day of Lincoln's assassination. In reality, this actually did happen. He had to go see his sick mother, who shortly after this, I believe, died. Now, with this, Otto believes that he escaped. With this, he believes he escaped through the Northwest Bridge, which was the only bridge that didn't get closed down after Lincoln was assassinated, which would make sense. And that's it. That's
Do you
my
buy
sources.
that?
No, not at
None
all.
of them?
Not at all. It makes zero sense. Like, it's just the dartboard theory, and that's it. Now, I do have a shoebox diorama. As you can see here, Lincoln is
Dude,
dead.
look at this. This is good.
Lincoln is dead. That's Booth, and here's all the witnesses. Okay.
You can see the different times.
Makes perfect sense. Any questions? All right, good job. Right the bell. All right, good. Good job. All right. Well done, everybody. And I did record that.
What's your first period tomorrow?
AP US history. Just stop by.
I can just stop.